What we're doing today is starting a new segment that I'm going to call Water Cooler Conversations. And I'm going to introduce you to a good friend of mine called Tony Byrne. Tony was trained as a clinical psychotherapist. And for many years, Tony worked in New Zealand's prison system as a holistic therapist. He worked with some real bad bastards, so he knows how their minds work. Now, Tony's got some information for you, and he's also got a little bit of advice for you. And the best part of it comes right at the end. So please stay listening. And if you've got any thoughts on what he's going to talk about, let's start a conversation down below.
Brilliant. Back online. Hopefully this connection's okay because I'm outside in my studio. So we'll see how this rolls. I just wanted to just pop in and just talk about a couple of things that might sound quite kooky, but Agenda 21, which can be accessed online anywhere. You can find all the information, and there's some pretty interesting information that you can look up, digest, accept or not. But part of that Agenda 21 is suppress truth in order for propaganda to prevail. And if we're looking at the end game of part of that process, we're probably looking at it now. So a lot of that links to the environmental sort of movement that we've had for a number of years, you know, the environment, this, the environmental, that, which I agree with, absolutely. We are completely demolishing this planet. So there's needed to be something occurring. So we'll put this into the environmental basket when we're looking at Agenda 21. But where do the origins occur? So 1968, the Club of Rome was formed. And this was a crisis think tank specializing in crisis creation. And the purpose is to create a crisis that will unite the world. Sounds a bit kooky, eh? Create a crisis that will unite the world. We're living in it, right now. And condition us to the idea of global solutions for regional ideas. Part of that, if you can see here, I've got an excerpt from the global, the origins of global warming, pages 104, 105 by Alexander King. In searching for the common enemy against whom we can unite, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, and famine and like would fit the bill. Okay? And we're just looking at a few sort of time things here. So we all remember George Bush Sr., right? And he quotes Agenda 21 here. And this is in 1992 that he quoted this. Effective execution of Agenda 2021 will require a profound reorientation of human society unlike anything the world has ever experienced. A major shift in governments and individuals. This shift will demand a concern for the environment. Reorientation of human society. Reorientate us. We'll need a crisis for that. Now, we all know who that crazy motherfucker Rockefeller is too, eh? And if people have done their research and done their history, you'll realise that they're a very long-standing family with some not very good agendas. So, Aaron Russo, who was a political activist in the States, among other things, he had a conversation with Rockefeller. And Rockefeller stated to him, "We need an event to invade Afghanistan and Iraq, establish bases in the Middle East, and gather the resources. It will be under the guise of terror and an invisible enemy. So the bankers and the governments need to perpetuate fear on the public to condition them." Not long after that, 9/11 occurs. And if you think 9/11 was some crazy Afghan from the hills flying an aeroplane, think again. Because there was a third building that fell down, and all of a sudden, amongst all that destruction, they find a passport. Crazy. So anyway, as you know, they invaded Iraq for Saddam's mass weapons of destruction, which they never found. So moving forward, Dixie Ray, former Oceans and Scientific Affairs of the USA, states, Agenda 21 seeks to establish a mechanism that transfers the wealth of citizens by fear of an environmental crisis, which will be used to create a world government from a UN centralised direction. Crazy. Which links back to the report of the 1976 UN's Habitat 1 conference, where they state, and this can be found all online, this is not conspiracy, this can all be found everywhere. Land cannot be treated as an ordinary asset controlled by individuals. Private land ownership is an accumulation of wealth, therefore contributes to social injustice. Quite crazy, eh? Harvey Ruvian, the vice chairman of the Wildlands Project in America, states individual rights will have to take a backseat to the collective. Another individual, J. Gary Lawrence, who was a previous advisor to the Clintons on sustainable development, participating in a UN advocating planning process would be very likely to bring out the conspiracy theorists and their fixated groups. And that segment of our society who fear the world government and UN invasion through which our individual freedoms will be stripped away, so we better call it something else. Growth management, smart growth. And the world ended up with sustainable development. So, you can go online and you can look up Agenda 21. And you can think that this is something beautiful for all of us that we're all going to participate in. We're not. We've got social and economic dimensions, looking at putting everyone urbanised into cities and getting us away from the fields and the land. Conservation and management of resources for development, take it away from us, we'll own nothing and be happy. Strengthen the role of major groups, one world government. And the means of implementation. We are living in the means of implementation. Now, that cognitive dissonance that a lot of people are feeling at the moment, certainly people that think they'll get vaccination and COVID will be a distant memory. It's not. It's part of Agenda 21. Absolutely. Part of implementation. Part of, as I spoke about last week, if you do something once, you're more likely to do something, or 82% more likely to do it again when the crisis escalates. And we are seeing crisis escalating, and we're not actually seeing it on the mainstream news. If you look at Melbourne at the moment, wow, absolutely wow. My favourite city in the world, and wow. And then all of a sudden, frickin' earthquake. So there's some out the gate stuff happening. And I just wanted to touch on the Agenda 21 to inspire you to go and have a look yourself and do some critical reflection on that, and come from a sort of an observant mind in a balanced place, because absolutely it would be really good if we maintain resources well and stuff like that. But there are things going on that we aren't hearing about, and we need to look for it because it's in plain sight. You will own nothing and you will be happy, and New World Order. Now that sounds really science fiction. We've got Australian politicians that are letting it slip out all the time in their interviews like nothing. So, we've got politicians right back, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and so forth that have been talking about this. And the thought of anything like that ever happening to us common people that are living our lives seems no way. No way. The governments love us. They don't. Which brings me to self-care, which is one of the most crucial things that you can do for yourself in this time and day. And when we think about self-care, it's about how you look after yourself on a day-to-day basis. The ritualistic things that you do, the vitamin D, the multivitamins, the good ones, not the ones on the supermarket shelf, Be Pure and stuff like that. The food that you put into your body, the mind space that you do to look after yourself. And what I mean by that, and if anyone is looking for any sort of process to be able to bring some balance and a bit of calmness into their life, please message me and I'll send you through a PDF file that I've had developed for a long time, which I forward to people if they want to bring in a bit of equilibrium into their life. But I would be saying one of the most important things that you can start doing right now is learn how to meditate. I'm not talking a monk on a hill going on. I'm actually going, do a guided meditation, and do it when you wake up, when your mind's still in creation, before you get into automatic pilot and start going about your day. So start then. Learn how to do some yoga, Pilates, stretching, exercise, breath work. Learn how to do that sort of stuff. And the reason why I'm saying do that sort of stuff, we have in the center of our brain here, a thing called the limbic system. That's where our fight, flight, freeze sits. The amygdala, but we'll call it a smoke detector. And every time that you're watching some of this drama unfold and the crisis starts to escalate a bit, and perpetuating fear on us, our smoke detector starts to go off a little bit more than we want it to. And us as humans, we're a bit shit at dialing it down. So we've actually got to do some mindful processes to learn how to dial that back down, so that we can actually go about accepting what's occurring and what we can do to enhance our well-being and look after ourselves. So if you want to know more, absolutely message me. I'll fire you a PDF document that I've got well prepared. It's got all the links that you need to do. Just, you can invest 15 minutes a day in yourself. And remember, we invest more in our cars. So it's time to invest in yourself. If you want to be fully aware of what's going on around you and be fully informed, you also have to look after yourself. That requires good diet, good exercise, get outside, take that silly mask off, and also be prepared to have some challenging conversations. And the challenging conversations are coming from everywhere, because if we're talking about our friends, whānau, colleagues, every day, we're looking at looking after ourselves, and we have to do it really well. Now, you know, I stay away from mainstream news now because it's unhealthy. It absolutely is. You're not getting any facts there. You're getting fed fear, which is to keep you subdued. And as I said, you do one thing, you're 82% more likely to do more. So I would say get the hell away from that. Get on Telegram if you want to see some actual facts and some new news and real news. Get on Telegram. That's where it's all sitting. And actually forming like-minded sort of acquaintances with other people that are of similar beliefs, and that aren't going to call you a tinfoil hat sort of anti-vaxxer. Because I don't believe the majority of us are anti-vaxxers, which is anti this bullshit that's going on around us. So supporting yourself, finding like-minded people, and also, you know, the circles that we're walking in, and I know the circles that I'm walking in as well, there's some people that are very pro. Get your vax, look after your family. And if you don't get your vax, you're putting us all at risk. Now, that's the absolute crock of shit. We know that. But how do we respond to people like that? Well, you know, there's some very simple terminologies that we can use without even trying to educate those people. We don't need to educate them unless they ask and go, hey, you know, what's your thoughts? Could you give me some advice? Absolutely, we'll give you some advice. But if they're trying to push down our throat their asleep agenda, then it's just like, hey, I'm just following the science. Now, that's part of the agenda that's out there, but we're allowed to follow science with a bit more depth. And actually, and it's one way of just moving away from that conversation, because I would say if they're asking to be educated, cool. But what we're finding are the pro people that are sucking up this bullshit here. They feel compelled to educate us on the delusional content that they're actually talking. I don't even think they are able to rationalize the delusional content that they're trying to feed to us. We were sitting here going, oh, wait a little bit here. We actually want to make sense of what's going on, and there's two sides to every story. And there is two sides to every story, but when you're only getting one side, hey, common sense should prevail. Hey, common sense. So we utilize this as a common sense approach. But the scary thing that's popping up from my perspective is now they're looking to lower vaccination in children below 11 years down to 6 months old. That's insane. That is completely insane. I don't know if a few of you got the message I sent through yesterday. Wellington School, we've got busloads of doctors and stuff turning up. We've got crazy stuff like McDonald's up in Auckland where you can drive through and get your jab on the way to get your frickin' awful food. Now, where has that? Where has medical injections ever been okayed at a fast food joint? I'd see that none of that makes sense. None of it. So, sorry, I'm ranting. So back to self-care. Learn how to meditate. 5 minutes every morning, guided, Headphones on, eyes shut, your mind will wander, perfectly normal. Learn to meditate, bring in a daily ritual, learn some yoga, learn some stretching, those types of things. Get out in nature, take the mask off, breathe some fresh air, learn how to plant a garden. Absolutely vital. Learn how to plant a garden. Buy some seeds, get growing some plants. In New Zealand here, we're coming into our spring and summer. Perfect time to be planting a garden. Those sorts of things. Certainly good water, because most of our water is chlorinated. So looking at what you can do about that. There's plenty of options around, absolutely around that. And before you go to sleep at night, really important to start noticing what went well throughout your day, because that morning and night are the two crucial parts where we tend to overthink parts, and our limbic system is sort of going like that in our emotional responses. So just before you go to sleep, just take the time to jot down 3 things that actually went well, and that will support you to actually be more optimistic and actually be a bit more balanced. And also just have an opportunity every now and again, if you're feeling a bit overloaded, just take some time off social media and all news. This stuff is continuing, so you know, you're not missing out on anything if you take a few days off. It actually will fill your cup, it will rejuvenate you, and you're able to come back and actually be involved in what's going on, because you need to be involved in what's going on, and we need to come together and actually be able to talk to each other and support each other. So I'm going to leave that there today, and I wish you all the best going forward. And once again, I've got a PDF file here. If you need it, message me, I will fire it through to you. It's around self-care, just around the morning stuff and the evening stuff. You know, 15 minutes a day you can invest in yourself. You will feel better, your well-being will improve. If you're feeling overloaded by social media, take some time off. Just take some time off it. You know, 2 to 4 days. I took 4 days off the other week, and I felt way better when I came back, because some of the stuff is completely out the gate, what we're witnessing, and the cognitive dissonance is everywhere, and the diluted content that's coming out is everywhere. So you've got to be strong within yourself, within your own emotional state. You've got to strengthen it, and you strengthen it through mindfulness, through meditation, through good food, through spotting stuff that's going well, through laughter, through getting outside, through socialization. So I wish you the best. If you want to whip back to the beginning, if you're only catching this now, there's some stuff on Agenda 21 there. Not conspiracy, it's all out there in the public arena. You can go and read it and start making sense of where we're at now, because it's vitally important. It absolutely is to be well informed. So, have a wonderful day. Ka kite.